Informationsteknologi, IT, nyckeln till framtiden. Den enda nyckeln verkar det som, för plötsligt så handlar allt om IT, internet och datorer. Och vi är bara början av den här utvecklingen hos en bransch som nu upplever en verklig guldrush. 30 minuter heta IT-nyheter bland nördar och visionärer.
What is it you're wearing? I mean, you got a whole lot of equipment on your belly, and then you got this strange contraption on your head.
Yeah, it's a wearable sort of computer and image processing, multimedia computer with video processing hardware and an internet connection, wireless communication. One of the good things about it actually is that you don't know whether I'm looking at my computer screen or at you. What I'm trying to do here is get the computer to function much like a second brain.
We're still in the second age of computing, the personal computing era. And we're just barely begun into the next revolution of computing, the ubiquitous computing era, which is still in its very early days. That new era will be characterized by hundreds of computers around every person, embedded in our clothing, in our watches, in the walls, and the light switches. And that era we're just starting into. That will be hugely transforming of how we relate to information and how we can easily get access to information. So the next 50 years will be a marvelous time.
Datorer av alla dess slag, apparater med det mest skiftande utseende och funktioner. Det är vad vi upplever nu i nutidens industriella revolution. Och på internet, the World Wide Web, så kan vi surfa och vi kan uppleva globala och ögonblickliga kommunikationer. När man surfar så ser man allt det här. Det är underhållning, det är information och det är tidsfördriv. Och ständigt läser vi i tidningarna om hur företag som tillverkar programvara för internet har börsintroducerats och gjort sina ägare till miljardärer över en dag. Det är en guldrush som vi upplever nu.
The way I look at technology is that technology proceeds on the basis of the problems it creates. I mean, every time you have a new layer of technological development, you solve a bunch of old problems and create an even larger set of new ones that the next layer has to set out to solve. And this is what drives us into the future, is dissatisfaction with the mess that we've made in the present. I mean, frankly, if it were up to me, I would have stuck with the Aboriginal model, you know, where in 50,000 years of history they came up with precisely 5 tools. But we didn't do that. And having gone the way that we've gone, we have no way to go but forward.
Well, information will come to us in all sorts of ways. It will be, in part, there will be computers built into the walls, into everything around us. We also probably will be carrying little computers. I have an example of a little one-handed computer here. You can see this is. It only takes one hand to hold and to turn on and to operate. And so I can use it while I do other things. So I can hold this computer and I can drive the car, I can take notes, I can use the rest of my mind and body to do other kinds of operations. So I think this one is a little bit bigger, a little bit too big for what I think we will be moving towards. I think we will be, the size of a matchbook is about the right size for these little ubiquitous computers, and we're working on those.
Även i dessa arbetslöshetens tider finns det företag som söker folk, och det verkar som de flesta söker ynglingar med kunskaper om internet och multimedia.
Our whole educational system and our governmental systems and everything else are designed to try to create homogeneous, predictable behavior from everybody in society. Well, now what we're doing is creating a new economic model where we're trying to make machines act like human beings. And the kind of culture that does that is a very creative culture that is not well served by an educational system that's trying to make predictable machine parts.
Datormässor samlar varje år allt större skaror. Comdex i Las Vegas i USA drar 200 000 besökare. Huvudsakligen män. Dollarmiljonerna rullar och alla talar om internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman and CEO, Microsoft Corporation, Bill Gates.
The internet is kind of like a gold rush. The amount of excitement, the number of new companies, it's really unbelievable. Now, fortunately, this is a gold rush where there really is gold. It may be buried a little deeper than some people think, but the drops in the price of communication, the fact that PCs everywhere will eventually have very high-speed data rates, allowing them to work together, really will have a fundamental impact. In fact, it will mean that our industry will be changing the way people do business, the way they learn, and even the way they entertain themselves, far more than I think people outside our industry expect.
Många säger att den nya teknologin bara innebär leksaker för den rika världen. Men det är också den fattiga världens stora chans. Idag kan de här länderna bygga ut sina kommunikationer enligt moderna principer och ta med datakommunikationer i beräkningen från början. De fattiga länderna har inte någon gammal infrastruktur med kopparledningar att ta hänsyn till. De kan använda fiber eller etablera trådlösa teleförbindelser. Information till alla medborgare om vad som händer i ett land, ekonomiskt, socialt och politiskt, det är grundvalen för ett demokratiskt samhälle. Det är ledare i den tredje världen som vill verka för demokrati, ser kommunikationerna som det viktigaste av allt för att deras land ska bli rättvist och kunna erbjuda välstånd för alla sina invånare. Nelson Mandela minns mycket väl hur viktiga nyheter från omvärlden var för honom och hans olycksbröder under de långa fängelseåren.
As prisoners on Robben Island, when we were deprived of newspapers, we searched the refuse bins for the discarded sheets of newspapers which warders had used to wrap their sandwiches.
Att få veta vad som händer i världen, att få reda på hur det står till med familjen eller få berätta om en spännande upplevelse. Det är kommunikation och information som vi betraktar som självklara mänskliga rättigheter. I Schweiz samlas vart 4:e år världens telebolag och kommunikationsapparattillverkare. Hela den väldiga mässan är en manifestation för dessa rättigheter. Om Motorola lyckas genomdriva sitt Iridium-projekt kommer vi om några år kunna telefonera var som helst i världen och nås i den mest avlägsna djungel på vårt eget telefonnummer.
In the future we'll have units that are dual mode in nature. For instance, the dual mode Iridium phone can be terrestrial cellular, GSM as an example. And if you're inside the coverage of the GSM system, you can communicate over the GSM system. If you roam outside of that system, then you'd be covered in the Iridium system directly from the subscriber unit to the satellites. So there's 66 satellites covering the total globe.
And when will they start going up?
They'll start going up the first quarter of 97, and commercial service will be launched in the fourth quarter of 98.
Mobiltelefoner, satellitkommunikationer, dataöverföring, multimedia, interaktivitet. Det står en närmast upp i halsen efter ett tag när man ser allt det här som satsas på kommunikation, när ändå huvuddelen av världens befolkning inte ens har tillgång till en telefon.
In South Africa, the denial of information and communications was used by the apartheid regime as an instrument of repression. We cannot develop the rural areas unless we have developed communications and the availability access to information.
Utvecklingen rusar på och det kan innebära att u-länderna hamnar ännu mera på efterkälken.
Det blir billigare och billigare i fortsättningen och det blir lättare och lättare att tala verkligen om en global infrastruktur, en världsomfattande infrastruktur som är den viktigaste infrastrukturen för vårt informationssamhälle. Och om man nu tittar på vad som har hänt, titta på Sydostasien. För 10-15 år sedan så var det den allra fattigaste världsdelen på nivå med Afrika. Och idag är många av de länder de är rikare än många industriländer. Och det är en explosionsartad utveckling. Och vad beror det på? Det beror på att regeringarna, de politiska beslutsfattarna, har förstått att man måste ge en viss prioritet för kommunikationer.
Men vad är det för nytta med allt det här?
Utan telekommunikationer kan det inte bli någon ekonomisk tillväxt och ingen social och kulturell tillväxt heller och ingen stabil demokratisk politisk utveckling.
Här är ett exempel på videokonferens och samarbete som snart kommer att vara möjlig. 2 läkare på vitt skilda platser i Sydafrika konfererar med varandra om en patient. Landsortsdoktorn och specialisten sitter vid varsin dator. Bild och ljud går via mobiltelefon.
Do you have a chest X-ray for us to look at? Yes, if we can go to page 2. This is the portable X-ray that we took. Do you think that there are some signs of pulmonary embolism? Yes, I would think that in the area that I'm going to ring, there is a wedge-shaped lesion which might be indicative of a pulmonary embolus.
Mannen som lägger sig i samtalet är Andy Grove, chef för Intel, företaget som tillverkar processorer för 80% av världens persondatorer.
Personal computers and technology based on personal computers, which is what I demonstrated today, is following the footsteps of the economic model of television. Costs are coming down, the applications are appealing to a larger and larger number of people, and consequently the volume is exploding everywhere, including in the developing countries. Some of the fastest growth of personal computer consumption is in fact in developing countries, where we are experiencing on pretty large basis 50-60% annual growth rates.
De länder som bygger upp sina telekommunikationer idag kan alltså installera trådlös telefoni, fiberoptiska kablar, elektroniska växlar och datorer. Men det behövs solidaritet från de rika länderna och deras företag, bistånd och långa krediter.
If we cannot ensure that this global revolution creates a wild-weight information society in which everyone has a stake and can play a part, then it will not have been a revolution at all.
Men det är nöjesindustrin som driver utvecklingen.
We have the first integrated multimedia accelerator. We expressly put in functions for Windows 95, so it's actually the hottest Windows 95 entertainment accelerator chipset anybody can possibly get.
Early computers were, text, nobody deals with text. Then it became sort of graphics, and people started to get interested. Now that it resembles the real world, I think it's really going to get people moving on these things.
Ett sätt att få underhållningen in i hemmen är interaktiv TV. Dator- och mediaföretag satsar stora pengar på antagandet att publiken vill kunna sitta hemma och beställa videofilmer och handla kläder via sin fjärrkontroll. Man kan till och med välja vilken typ av nyhetssändningar man vill se.
Here you can create a personal profile where you actually go in and choose the categories of news that interest you, okay? When you've done that, you can log on to your personal news, and the server will compile those news stories for you, and you get to see a little video clip of each of those stories.
Are you in the market for a new computer, but you don't have thousands of dollars, super cheap?
These set-top boxes are made by Apple. They're prototypes from Apple. About a year and a half or so ago, Apple started developing these set-top boxes, and they were really one of the first companies to create a working set-top box. So that's why we went with Apple. But now there are about 60 different manufacturers of set-top boxes. And we have an alliance here at Oracle called the Set-Top Box Alliance. And we are going out and creating standards in the industry so that all set-top boxes will work together. CD Now is a company that we're working with to be able to provide CDs and tapes to purchase online. Here you can see I have my 3 specials of the day. This was all done with Oracle Media Objects. I can find out what's new, what's on sale, and do a search. Let's say I'm interested in Dire Straits, Brother in Arms. I can click on the album cover and get some more detailed information and listen to a couple sound clips. See, if I want to purchase this CD, you can click on it, drag it into your little shopping basket, which is kind of nice, then click on the basket and generate a billing statement from the Oracle 7 database. Then you can confirm your purchase by entering a PIN number, or you can cancel and throw your selection away.
Oracle har specialiserat sig på databaser. Företaget är 19 år gammalt, har 23 000 anställda i över 90 länder och omsätter 28 miljarder kronor. Nu satsar Oracle på en ny produkt som de hoppas ska tas upp av många andra tillverkare. Network Computer. En mycket enkel dator som hämtar hem all sin intelligens från nätet. Det är alltså inte en PC, det är en NC.
You don't necessarily need the complexity and the expense of a large machine just to do web access, email, word processing, database access. And the network computer is an attempt to define a new type of inexpensive and easy-to-use device which can do those functions. And so what we have done is created a reference design of a network computer which has no local storage. It gets all of its information from a network, either from the internet or a corporate network within a company. Because there's no local storage, no disk drive, the only thing in the box is a processor, some ROM for storing some executables to initiate the box, to boot the box, and plus a network connection so that you can actually connect it to the network. Our goal is to make all of the software very small and very compact, where the operating system for this box itself is only a little over 300 kilobytes of information, of executable, much, much smaller than Windows or the Macintosh operating system. The word processor we're looking at is on the order of 200 kilobytes. There's this spiraling circle of increasing demand. The more programs you want to run in your machine, the more memory you want. And the more memory that's available, the bigger your applications get because the memory is there. And then when the applications start getting bigger, you need more memory, and it just spirals bigger and bigger and bigger. We're trying to just stop that and get back to the old days.
Ute på det stora nätet så kan jag kommunicera med andra människor. Jag kan samarbeta, vi kan jobba på ett gemensamt dokument eller vi kan spela tillsammans. En förutsättning är då att vi har samma mjukvara, samma applikationer installerade i våra datorer. Men nu finns det ett nytt system som heter Java. Och det bygger på att man kan skicka över en liten del av en applikation, en applet till en annan dator så att två människor kan kommunicera och samarbeta.
As we're moving on, we're seeing really more examples of real applications and real functionality being added to browsers or even outside the browsers. This one here on the right-hand side was a conversion of a Windows-based application that was converted to Java by some people at Los Alamos National Laboratories. And you can see here what I can do now is interact with the page, but just by clicking here and moving up and down, we get a cross-section view of this CAT scan or X-ray of the lungs there.
The nice thing about it is that it enables the whole strategy that we've had, which is always network computing. The network is the computer. IBM thinks everything starts in the glass house, Microsoft thinks everything starts in a cell in their Excel spreadsheet. We think everything starts on the network. It's in our DNA. Network computing is where it's at. Java just happens to be another great enabler for the network computing model.
Scott McNeely leder Sun, som startades för 14 år sedan, har 16 000 anställda i 140 länder och omsätter cirka 40 miljarder kronor.
We have a capital structure here that allows for the formation of venture funds. Today there are huge venture funds already targeted at Java that are out creating new Java startups, and Java's less than a year old. But you're able to amass large amounts of capital very quickly and aim them at the newest technology opportunities, and that's a huge time to market advantage, using the network and accumulating vast amounts of cash very quickly.
Well, that's so fascinating to us in Sweden. I mean, we tend to be very careful about our money. We don't, throw it at something which is so new and something we don't know about.
We've moved from being on regular time to computer time to internet time. Mm-hmm. And internet time is like dog years. It's 7 years in a normal year. And there's a saying, a couple of sayings we have around here. You snooze, you lose. Mm-hmm. And either you have lunch or you be lunch. And we'd prefer to have lunch.
Silicon Graphics bildades för 14 år sedan. De har 10 000 anställda i 57 länder och omsätter cirka 25 miljarder kronor på att skapa kreativa verktyg.
We build computer systems that allow people to take their ideas and make them come to life inside of a computer. What does that mean? Someone who's designing a new automobile can design it and see it as if it's completely real on the screen of the computer, and model it, change its color, change the lighting on it, open the doors, close the doors, and use that to take their ideas and make them come to life.
But the important thing is that it's human ideas that the computer just interprets.
Yes, Silicon Graphics builds the visual computing hardware, but the visual computing ideas come from all of the people that use our technologies. It just turns out that for the last 10 years we've been developing the absolute right kind of computing for the internet. Clearly, the technology exists and the technology path exists for us to be able to get television quality on the screens of our computers in the next 3 or 4 years. Many people think that the integrated circuit and the computer revolution is kind of over. It's been accelerating and going faster and faster and faster. So the more chips we can build that do some specialized function, like take images off the net and broadcast them up onto the screen, the better and better we'll be able to emulate what it looks like on TV.
Media Lab i Boston utvecklar TV och internet. På den här akademiska institutionen bedrivs en rad forskningsprojekt som finansieras av företag i olika länder. Här handlar det inte om interaktiv TV där man beställer videofilmer eller köper hem varor. Forskarna här prövar betydligt mer avancerade möjligheter för framtidens digitala TV.
The important thing to remember in digital television is that it's not about pictures. It's not about pictures at 30 frames per second, it's bits. And so those bits can be pictures if you want, but they can be other things. And they certainly don't have to necessarily be in real time. In other words, I can deliver you 1 hour of video in a few seconds. And so it's more of a sort of, you download video, which happens to be just bits. So as soon as you think of television as being bits, and being bits at a variable rate that have nothing necessarily to do with frames per second, it's a very, very different medium. It's a storytelling medium where you are not trapped, if you will, by the specific frame and how many feet per second. Let me give you a very specific example. Take something like a sporting event. Instead of capturing the sporting event in the picture plane of a camera, it's certainly possible to actually capture a model of the event and transmit that to the receiver, and then the pictures, if that's what you want, are constructed at the receiving end.
And the viewer can watch a football game and can change the viewpoint from which he or she is watching the football game. Now, I'd like to show you the technology we use for making three-dimensional models from ordinary pictures. If we have taken 5 photographs in this room, we can generate a complete model, and it looks like this when we fly around in the model. So this is basically a synthetic camera pan around a room, which is generated just from 5 photographs, 5 ordinary photos.
You have an event which you want to represent, but then you can also have a perspective on that event. And so I might want to get 2 perspectives on the event. I might want a perspective on the event from maybe, I don't know, somebody either involved with it personally or maybe even a conservative point of view or a liberal point of view. Those points of view aren't meaningless, those are very meaningful. But right now in television, you're only able to basically transmit one point of view. And I mean that both in the literal sense, namely where the camera is, and in the intellectual sense, where the person's coming from. And in the future, you'll be able to do it from multiple points of view.
In your view, then, you think the audience is, this is something that the audience will want? One might say that this is a very exclusive view.
Well, the audience of today and the TV sets and the TV mentality of today may not want it. But if you go and you take a look at the average internet user and how they behave, that's the people who will want it. So you become basically a website is really what happens, not that you try and take the TV channel and make it interactive. People thought that was the right thing to do 2 or 3 years ago, but I think it's clear that, you know, the future of television is the internet. It is an internet phenomenon.
What is it you've got in your left hand here?
This is just a bunch of push-button switches, which forms a keyboard, so that I can type while I'm walking around or doing other things.
Then you also talked about the internet. Do you mean that you're actually transmitting onto the internet our conversation?
Well, not exactly. I'm just connected to the internet, so I have the resources of the internet at my disposal. So while I'm walking down the street or standing in line at the bank or whatever, I can do the obvious things like send and receive email or surf the web and find information. But I think more importantly, I can also be visually connected and send and receive pictures. For example, when I'm shopping at the grocery store, my wife can look in through my eyes and make comments about my selection, or
those tomatoes are too green, pick the other one.
Sure, that kind of thing.